Hey, so this is something that comes up a lot when I'm dealing with clients, and it's that they they talk too much to their dogs. And this sounds silly to say, and it's to me it's a beautiful thing with like a lighthearted, comical, humorous element that I always try and infuse a lot of laughter into my training sessions, because the more lighthearted the human is and the less under a microscope they feel, the dog picks up on that vibe, and it makes the dog more relaxed, and it all just starts to flow. I try and do whatever I can in my in-person training sessions to get that human on a okay, we're just, we're here not like, oh, I have to pay real strict attention so I don't forget anything. That's not going to help your dog. So it's funny as I'm working with clients, and they'll realize one thing I'll say after like 20 minutes, and we'll have achieved. Usually, I'll have the leash by that point, and we'll be talking, the client and myself, and the dog's just kind of like figuring it out, and I'm just giving the dog space. And usually after like 20 minutes or half hour, once the dog has like noticeably like kind of de-escalated its behavior, because I work with a lot of really nervous dogs who unfortunately their owner thinks they're like aggressive, but they're not aggressive. They're super jacked up and unsure, so they perceive a lot of things as threats that aren't threats. So a lot of times I'll come in and the dog is exhibiting like hostile guardian territory. Rah rah rah! Don't come near me or anybody I know, or I'll bite your head off. But that's not at all how they're really feeling. They're just like, I hope you don't do anything unpredictable, because I don't have any coping skills to deal with unpredictability. So I'm going to just like try and create this boundary with you to keep you at bay so that you just stay over there and don't challenge my world. So that's what I'm dealing with a lot of times. So the way that I deal with that is to not come head on. Like I just come around and really yield a lot of energy and space to the dog, and give it the opportunity to realize that like there is no immediate threat, there is no threat in 5 minutes. Like, hey, this guy's just still talking to the owner, and the dog will start to sniff my leg, and then I might start engaging with the dog and doing some different exercises with the dog. But at some point in that process, not too far along, once we've made some progress, I'll always point out to the owner, it's like, hey, have you noticed how I haven't used like hardly any sound with your dog at all? I've definitely not used the name. And this to me is funny because I feel bad because it ain't personal. My goal is to help the dog and the owner, but a lot of times it's like awkward because like I'll straight up forget the dog's name, like straight up, because like I don't even. Someone will say, oh, I got Lulu the dog, and she's such and such, and I'm just like skimming, just like for like what I'm trying to perceive as like pertinent information as they're describing what they're dealing with. But the least pertinent element of that whole package of information is the dog's name. Like it absolutely doesn't matter, and it does me no um, benefit to the dog. Like it doesn't give me any equity or credibility with that dog if I were to like know its name and use the name. Like if you find a stray dog, it doesn't matter that you don't know its name. It'll actually like connect with you better if you don't relate to it by using its name. So point being is, it's some point in the train session I'll always be like, hey, have you noticed that I haven't used like any sound with your dog at all? And yet I've established this communication where the dog, if I just like walk across the room, the dog will just follow me. and then if I stop, the dog will stop and just look at me like, okay, what's up? And like I've taken this like nervous energy to like a more like just relaxed observant energy. And when I'll point out things like, notice how your dog is sniffing me and sniffing the air now. And you notice how when I got here they were not in their nose at all, like they were all mouth and eyes. And so as we make like real progress where the dog is literally like, like, okay, this is feeling okay, and they're just unwinding into the moment and being present, which is where like the only time you'll ever achieve like true learning is when you're in that state where it's like a passive observation, not like a panic fight or flight. Like I can't teach a dog anything if they're in like a panic fight or flight, because they're not their brainwaves aren't designed to learn. And that's why if you like try and condition a dog when they're in that state of mind, like literally like feed the dog, sit, try and exercise the dog to condition it while it's totally jacked and not sure, all you're going to get is a dog that's going through the motions. And therefore there's really not going to be any like long-term change with the dog. It might learn to not crap on your rug or jump on your guests, but it's not going to be from like a holistic, like actual true understanding and joyful embrace of who it really is as a dog. It's just going to be conditioned behavior that's never really given the dog an opportunity to embrace and actually enjoy that behavior and like really like claim it for as who their role is. So to me that's a shame, but whatever. But after I point out that I've not used any sound, they're like, oh, that's really interesting, I didn't really notice, but I kind of did. And I'm like, yeah. And because sound isn't how you communicate with dogs. And then as we proceed in the training session and my goal is to like empower the owner as soon as possible, because it's like easy to like vibe with the dog and get the dog to come around and be like, okay, I'm totally down to do some new way of being, because you're providing me all this super clear guidance in a language that I can understand. Therefore, as a dog, I'm receptive to this. So let's do it. That part's the easy part. The hard part is when the owner has to really kind of look in the mirror and be like, okay, this is how I'm influencing the dog. And that's like part of my job as well, to point out to the owner. And again, I try and do it in the most lighthearted way as possible, because the last thing I want to do is like make the owner further self-conscious in that moment. Because if I have a dog who's trying to learn how to relax and an owner who feels like they're not like doing the right thing, or they've got like performance anxiety or something, then the dog's going to feel that, and it's like a negative loop. So I'll like say something to the owner that's lighthearted, but here's the thing, right? When I'll say like, okay, now it's your turn here, or not even that, maybe I'll just be trying to do something. A lot of times I'm working with like another dog to help this dog, or they've got two dogs or something like that, and I'll just say something to them like, hey, get your dog to come over here, or do something with your dog, or I have to get this, hold your dog, or just something simple. And they'll start immediately like talking to the dog. Like, it's so funny because it's so predictable. The first time, even like it could be like 5 seconds after I say, hey, have you noticed how, and have our little sound conversation about how dogs don't use sound the way that humans use sound. They use scent, body language, and then sound. And we're just all about making as much noise as possible all the time. And then we wonder why our dogs bark. That's a whole nother subject. But it's like so repeatable that it's like comical, and I try and make it comical. Because humans learn funny. We learn in a zigzag way, most of us. Some people are like laser beams. You tell them something one time and they're like, I got it. And they like never deviate from that thing again. And those people are awesome. And I guess we all have a little bit of that in us. But most of us, we learn by like a pinball machine. Like boing 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 boing. Like the idea has to like bounce all around in our head. We have to like do it the wrong way and then try and justify how we're still doing it the right way. But usually for a human to like actually go from point A to point B in terms of changed behavior, it's like a fun, it's like it's like watching, like if you track your GPS sometime when you got lost and you're like all over the place and then you finally get there. That's how it is for people. And that's where my job turns into just like a it's like a sitcom sometimes. It's like I'll just sit back and like watch it unfold and just be like, this is so funny. Because the owner will try and use all this sound, and then I'll be like, you notice how much sound? Oh, yeah, okay. But it's just because we're aware of something doesn't mean we can automatically change it. So that's another thing about humans that's a little bit different from dogs, because dogs are so adaptable. They're one of the most adaptable species on the whole earth, right? Like I believe we're created beings. I believe that God created everything. But within creation, there's pockets of evolution within species. Like dogs came from wolves and we can interbreed them and all this stuff. And there's this experiment about, or this story about this scientist guy up in Russia who basically turned foxes into dogs, so to speak, in terms of the domesticated behavior. I mean, they were barking and everything. That's an interesting story if you're interested in that kind of thing. So, the dog as a species is one of the most cooperative species that you're going to find, and it's so comical how we continue to try and relate to them in a way that's just absolutely unproductive because we're unwilling to meet them as actual dogs. So, sound is not how we work with dogs. And if you find yourself using sound a lot, try and be more aware of that. And this kind of thing, a lot of it's common sense and a lot of it's intuitive and a lot of it's like not that hard and won't take you very long to realize it. But unless you have somebody actually direct you and say, turn this dial a little this way and turn this one this way and adjust that knob, and you'll create the desired state of mind in your dog, which will then in turn create the desired behavior, and in turn the desired relationship, then it is helpful to have some guidance. I do phone consultations, and I also have a bunch of free videos on YouTube, and please check out my book. You'll find it to be helpful no matter what you're dealing with. It's foundational. So it'll shed some light on some real core principles that will help you out no matter what, even if your dog is perfect. This whole dog training thing, we get into it. Usually, my clients get into it to like address a very specific problem that's causing like very specific issues and interruptions in their life that's reached a point where it's no longer viable and they need to address it. No one wants to like go out and just throw money and time and energy for no reason. So when people finally decide to hire me, they're feeling some pain regarding this situation. And my goal is to fix that situation for the long term and empower that client to understand how it changed and how they can replicate it without, reinventing the wheel. So this starts out as a dog training thing, but very quickly it's obvious that this is much more than dog training. And that's why I'm so stoked to have this be my career, because it's all about relationships, our relationship with the dog, our relationship with ourself, our relationship with God, or whatever you would consider to be your higher power. It's a relational thing, and our dogs are teaching us how to be in balance with ourselves and how to let that creative energy of the universe flow through us so that we can express it in a way that's like positive. And our dogs are here to show us that and help us along that journey if we're willing to view it as such. A lot of people never get to that level. They just want to have a dog that they can snuggle with and cuddle with and that doesn't do anything destructive or unhealthy. And that's awesome. Families with kids, I can't imagine my life growing up as a child without having a family dog. We always had a family dog, and it just was such a beautiful addition to my life as a kid. To have this dog to hug on and play with and interact with. It was awesome. So yeah, some people are gonna wanna really embrace what the dog can give, but you don't have to. As long as you can have your dog in a happy state of mind, being a happy dog, and you're enjoying it, that's what it's all about. You can take it to the further levels where you really internalize a lot of this stuff, and you're like, wow, there's a lot going on. My dog should have like a bald head and a robe on, and live in like a monk place, right? Because they're like seriously like straight up spiritual teachers to us. If we want to open that box, we don't have to, and we can have a happy, healthy dog without really ever going down that route. But as you really engage with your dog, you'll realize more and more like they're here to show us things about ourselves that we wouldn't see without them. I think that's so rad, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so motivated to like help a dog, because I know that when I help that dog and really do it for the long term, that it's going to make such a huge impact, not only on the dog but on the whole household. Real transformative stuff. I'm a sensitive person, and so this is like right on my alley. Like I kind of cringe at like superficial relations with people, and I avoid them. But I'm all about like really connecting with people and like sharing like true life experiences with people that you like don't forget, and that like really like make us realize how much we all need each other and how grateful we are for one another as humans and dogs. Those are the kind of connections that I thrive on. So it's perfect, because that's how it usually works when people like really are having some problems with their dog and they really are committed to the change for the long term for all involved. There's some real personal growth that happens, and it's awesome to be a part of. So I hope that video was enjoyable. And please reach out if you have any questions. I encourage you to check out my book. You can pick it up for $29 right now and have it downloaded on your computer forever. It's not like a subscription or anything. You get the file and it's yours. And it's so rad. It's really, really good. Halfway through it, you'll be like, wow, this isn't what I expected at all from this book. Um, it's awesome. So I'll put a link down in the thing. If you go to my website, there's a little menu thing that says ebook. You click on that, it'll take you right to the page to go buy it. And if you're interested in doing a consultation with me, I do offer right now a free short phone consultation. If you reach out to me through my website, we'll get in touch, and I'll talk with you for a little while and see if I can point you in the right direction or offer you some tips, and I'll do it for free. Because my goal is to try and share as much as I can with people in as broad of a scope as possible. That's why I put so many videos up on YouTube. Because it's really not that hard, and once you get some momentum behind you, you'll realize that this is the most awesome thing. Like, this is so much more fun than like a vacation to Disney World, or go and get your nails done, or something like that won't last. I mean, I know memories last, but when you can start putting some real time and energy into like cultivating the kind of relationship with your dog that you want to have, you'll realize like that's one of the most rewarding and joyful ways you could spend your time. And a lot of times when people realize like, wow, this is awesome, it's like that's when I know I've like really helped the dog, when I can really get the owner to realize like, wow, having this dog is like one of the most like inspiring things that I can actually even commit to or spend time with. Then that's where you really start to like see some serious transformation, not just in like the behavior of the dog, but in like real personal growth and actual experience of joy, like for real, like true organic living joy, not just like dopamine, you know? So thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day.